Good afternoon, students. So in this video, we'll see the program demonstration of two pillars of OOP. First one is inheritance and another is a polymorphism. So first we'll focus on the inheritance. Inheritance is the process of deriving a new class from the old class. So that is nothing but what? You already have defined a class and you want to add some extra features to that class. So you can add those extra features by extending the old class. So you need not to modify the old class. You have to derive a new class and you can extract the property of the old class into the new class. That we call it as a inheritance. One main advantage of inheritance is the reusability of the code. You can reuse the code which is already defined. One. So we start this demonstration by studying the usage of a super keyword. So what exactly the super keyword? How to make use of super keyword in the program. So here, remember there are two usages of the super keyword. One, super keyword can be used to call the constructor of the super class into the base class. And another usage is that suppose the subclass and the superclass are going to define the same instance variable, then the subclass hides the instance variable of a superclass. So for that, we can make use of a super keyword so as to not hide the instance variable of a superclass. So we'll see the example that how this super keyword can be used to not to hide the instance variable of a superclass. Now here we have defined a class called as a SSIP, which is the name of the superclass, which is going to have a one instance variable of type integer I. So this is the end of a superclass. So only it is going to have an instance variable. Then we have defined a subclass, that is STSIP, which is a derived class of a superclass SSIP. Now this subclass is also going to have a same instance variable as that of a superclass, that is I, both data type are int 8. So now we have written the parameters constructor in the subclass, that is SESIP. Int a comma int b, two parameters we have passed, one to initialize the value for the superclass instance variable and another to initialize the value for the subclass instance variable. Now super.I equal to a. Now when you call this super.I, it is going to refer to the superclass I variable. And the value which you are going to pass it from the main, which will be copied into a, and that you are going to initialize to this I. Next, I is equal to b. Nothing but what? Now only I refers to the subclass I and super.I refers to the superclass I. Remember. Then whatever the second value which will pass it from the main will be copied to b and that will be assigned to I. Then we have displayed both the values, that is superclass I as well as subclass I. So while displaying the value of a superclass I, you should make use of a super keyword, remember. Otherwise, it will always refer to the subclass I instance variable. Then the end of the display method, end of the class. Then class superdemo, which includes a main method. Here, remember, whenever you are implementing the inheritance property, you should always create the object of the derived class, because through the object of the derived class, we can have access to the members of a subclass. It may be the fields or it may be the methods. You can have access to them through the object of the derived class. So it does not mean that you cannot create the object of a superclass. You can create it, but it's of no use. Then s1 dot display. So now we have created the object of a derived class, pass the value 6 and 8, the first parameter which you are passing, it will be stored into the superclass I variable, and the second value will be stored into the subclass I variable. Here you go. Now open the command prompt, change the directory, compile the program. The name of the program is the super demo dot java, then java super demo. Now you can see superclass I equal to 6, subclass I is equal to 8. So it has shown you. So this is what the usage of a super keyword. Now we'll go for demonstration of a different types of inheritance. So there are totally 4 types of inheritance available: single inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, multiple inheritance, and multi-level inheritance. So single inheritance. Single inheritance is nothing but it is the process of deriving a one class from one base class. So there will be a one superclass, there will be a one derived class. So this demonstration or a representation, we call it as a single inheritance. There should be a one superclass, there should be a one subclass. So here we have defined a superclass called as a SSIP, which is going to have a one instance variable I, which is also called as a field. Then we have defined the single parameterized constructor to initialize the value for the I. Then we have included a one method show to display the value of a I. So then end of the superclass. So next we have derived a one class called as a SESIP, which is a subclass of a superclass SSIP. Remember, extends is the keyword used in a Java to implement this inheritance property to create the derived class. Then now this derived class is going to have a one instance variable or a field j of type integer. Then we have defined the parameters constructor. So while defining the parameters constructor of the derived class, remember the first parameters which you need to pass should match to the superclass constructor. So in the superclass we have defined a single parameters constructor. So one parameter you need to pass to the subclass constructor so as to refer to the superclass constructor. Then second one, to initialize the value for the field of the second, that is derived class. So super is a keyword, we can use it to call the superclass constructor. Then whatever the value of a b you are passing it, that will be initialized to j. Then this subclass includes a method called as a display to display the value of a j. Now end of the subclass. Then we have included a class called as a single demo, includes a main method in that. Then created the object of a derived class, say s1 equal to new SCSIP 10, 20. Now if you see, the derived class constructor takes two parameters of type integer, so we need to pass the two values while creation of object. Then the very first statement here is a super A, nothing but what? It is going to in turn call this superclass constructor, and the value of a which is 10 will be initialized to I. And then second value which you have passed is a 20, which will be initialized to j. Next, s1.show. As I told that through the object of the derived class, we can have access to the members of a superclass. So we can call the show method of a superclass with respect to the derived class object. So first we have called the superclass show method with respect to s1. Then s1.display, as display is already available in a subclass. So what we'll do now, we'll run this program, Java C super demo dot Java. Once compile it, run it, super demo. If you see super class I, sorry, it's not single demo, it's not a super demo, it's a single demo. Name of the file, single demo. I is equal to 10, j is equal to 20. So this is how you can call the superclass as well as subclass members inside the main through the object of the derived class. Now we'll go for the second type of inheritance, which is nothing but a hierarchical inheritance. So hierarchical inheritance is nothing but it is the process of deriving more than one class from a single base class. Nothing but what? Here in this we are going to have a one superclass, and from that superclass we can derive more than one subclass. So it may be 2, it may be 3, it may be 4, any number of subclasses you can derive from that superclass. So this is called as hierarchical inheritance. So in this program we have taken a superclass, name it as a person, which is going to have three fields, that is name, address and ID. Then we have included a default constructor, then parameters constructor to initialize the values for name, address and ID, then a show method to display the values, that is name, ID and address of the person. So next, from this superclass we are going to derive two classes, one is an employee, another is a student. So first we'll go for the employee class. So the employee class are going to have the two fields, one is a salary, another is an increment. Then we have included a default constructor, which we have not initialized any value over here. By default it is going to initialize for salary as a 0.0, increment as a 0.0, for the double data type, which if it is a string, it's a null character, it will be added. Then we have included a parameters constructor, as there are two fields in this derived class employee. First three parameters should match to the superclass constructor. So first one is a name, ID and address. Then two more for initializing the values for salary and increment. So this is going to call the superclass constructor. Then the value of V will be initialized to sal, K value will be initialized to increment. Then we have included two more methods in the employee. One is a cal, which is going to calculate. Nothing but what exactly is done in this method is that the increment value of the employee will be added to his basic salary and he will be getting the new salary. Print is a method which is going to print the increment value as well as new salary along with the information about the employee, that is name, ID and the address of the employee, which is already displayed in a superclass person. So there already we have defined a show, here just we have called that. Then we are going to derive a one more class from the person, it's a student. Now the student is going to have a four fields, M1, M2, M3 and an average. Again it's a default constructor to initialize the default value for these four. Then the parameters constructor, the first three parameters will be same as that of a superclass. Then the remaining three to initialize the values for M1, M2 and M3. Then average is a field we have taken to calculate the best of 2 marks obtained and calculate its average. Then we have written two methods over here. One is the average. First we are going to get the maximum 2 marks obtained out of 3. Then we will be adding divided by number of subjects, that is divided by 2, will be getting the average marks of the two subjects. Then we have included one more method called as a display, in which the very first statement is a show, that is called the show method of a superclass. Then display the marks of the students obtained in 3 subjects and calculated average. Now here, in this class HR demo, which includes a main method, we need to create the 2 objects. Minimum 2 objects, one is of type employee, another is of type student. So first we have created the employee object, that is EMP E1 equal to new EMP. So the name of the employee is Sagar, ID is at 10, address is Delhi, his basic salary is at 10,000 and increment he is going to get it's a 2,000. Then E1.cal, where it is going to add the increment value to the salary, and based on that it is going to be displayed. Next we have created the object of a student subclass. The name we have specified, it's a Lakshmi, ID is a 1, address is a Belgaum. So these are the marks obtained in 3 subjects, M1, M2, M3, and average. So now base of 2 here is a 25 and a 24. So average will be 24.5. So that value will be calculated in this average, and that is going to be displayed in this display method. Now we will run this program. So name of the program is a HR demo, that is hierarchical. I have given a short form as a HR demo. First we have created the employee object. So name is a Sagar, then is ID, Delhi, 2000 is increment, new salary is a 12,000. The name of the student is a Lakshmi, ID is a 1, address is a Belgaum, 23, 25, 24. So average of best 2 is a 24.5. So now this is what the working of a hierarchical inheritance. Now we'll go for the multi-level inheritance. So it is the process of deriving a new class from the derived class. So here is we have a level. So at the first level we have a super class. Next, from that we are going to derive a one class. From the derived class we are going to derive a one more class. So this is called as a multi-level inheritance. So in this we have defined a super class called as a student, from which we are going to derive a new class called as a test, and from that test we are going to derive a one more class called as a result. So this is called as a multi-level inheritance. So class student, which is a super class, going to have the 2 fields, one is a name and a roll number. Default constructor is included, then parameters constructor to initialize the value for name and a roll number. And in the show method we have displayed the value of a roll number as well as name. Then from the student we have derived a one class called as a test, and in this test we have a 2 fields M1 and M2 of type integer. Then the default constructor, parameters constructor. So now it takes 2 fields, so we need to pass total 4 parameters to the derived class constructor. First 2 belongs to the super class, next 2 belongs to that fields of the subclass. So the value of x and y will be initialized to M1 and M2 respectively. Then we have displayed, first we have called the show method of a superclass so as to display the name and the roll number of a student, then marks obtained in 2 subjects, that is M1 and M2. Then from this test we have derived one more class called as a result, and this result is associated with a one field called as a average of type double. So the default constructor is added, then parameters constructor which are going to match with the first 2 superclasses, that is first 2 for the first superclass, these 2 for the next to this superclass, and average we have just taken to find the average of M1 and M2. So for that we have written a method called as a cal, which is going to calculate the average of the average marks of the 2 subjects, and the print we have called the display. In turn, display is going to call the show of the superclass, and based on that it is going to display you the value. First is a name, then roll number, M1 marks, M2 marks, and the average. So in this order the output will be displayed to you. We'll see, we'll check it whether it displays in the same order or not. So name of the program is a multi-demo. Check it first. So after that, we have defined a main in which we have created the object of the last derived class, that is R1 of type result. Then ABC is the name of the student we have passed. Roll number is a 1. Marks obtained in 2 subjects is a 23, 25. So average will be 24. That will be calculated and printed over here. So now here name is a ABC, roll number is a 1, M1 marks is a 23, M2 is a 25 and average is a 24. Now remember, always you need to create the object of the last derived class, not the first two which already you have defined. So now this is the working of a multi-level inheritance. So there is another type of a inheritance in a Java, that is multiple inheritance, which is nothing but it is the process of deriving a single class from more than one base class. So here superclass will be more than one, and from which we are going to derive a single derived class. But this property is not possible to implement in a Java because of some complexity problem, large memory requirement. So to implement this property, Java has introduced a new concept called as the interface. And by making of this interface, you can implement that multiple inheritance property. So that part we'll see in the next video. So now coming to the third pillar of the O, which is called as a polymorphism. So polymorphism is nothing but the ability to take more than one form. That is nothing but you have defined a one same method with the same name, but their functionality may be different. Either you may pass any number of parameters to it, or else the same number of parameters, but their implementation part is different. So that we call it as a polymorphism. And this polymorphism is divided into two types. One we call it as a compile time polymorphism, another is called as a runtime polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism is nothing but which version of the same method is called, it will be decided at the compile time. That's why it is called as compile time polymorphism, or also called as static polymorphism. The example of a compile time polymorphism is nothing but a method overloading. So how do we define a method overloading? Method overloading is nothing but the process of defining more than one method with the same name but different signature. So different signature in the sense different number of parameters to the method, or if same number of parameters, different data types of those parameters. So that we call it as a method overloading. So now we'll see the demonstration of method overloading. So we have defined a class called as a overload demo, in which we have defined a same method 4 times, that is test, 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 test. Out of that, 3 is going to have a same return type, void, 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 and 1 is going to have double. Next, the first version of a test takes no parameters. So we have displayed a message over here as no parameters. So in the second version, it takes a 1 parameter. So we have displayed what is the parameter value you have passed it during the execution. The second one takes the 2 parameters. Fourth one takes again a single parameter, but the data types are different. Here is a int, here is a double. So it is allowed. And the return type is also different. So there is a word, here is a double. And we have displayed that value. So then we have included one more class in which we have included a main method. And here we have created the object of the overload demo, that is OP. And we have called each version of the test. So first one with a no parameter, second with a 1 integer parameter, third with a 2 integer parameter, fourth which is a 1 with a double data type, and return value is a double. Based on that, it will show you the output. So now we'll see the demonstration or execution of this program. Name of the program is over demo. Now you can see the first version which we have called, where we have displayed a message no parameters. Second version with a one parameter of type integer, and we have displayed that value a:10. Third version with the two parameters of type integer, so we have displayed a and b is equal to 10, 20. Fourth version with a double type of a data, so the value of a is a 123.25, and it is going to return you the square of that number, which is 15,190.5625. So now this is what the execution of the method overloading. So there is another type of a polymorphism which we call it as a runtime polymorphism, which is also called as dynamic polymorphism. So in this dynamic polymorphism, what we do is that we are going to define the same function with the same return type, same number of arguments, but their implementation part is different. And which version of the function is to be called, it is going to be decided at the runtime. That's why it is called as runtime polymorphism, or also called as dynamic polymorphism. And the example of this dynamic polymorphism is method overriding. So what do you mean by method overriding is that it is the process of defining the two methods with same name and same signature, but one is defined in a superclass and other is defined in a subclass. Is called as method overriding. So one method with the same return type, same method name, same number of parameters we have defined in a superclass, and one in a subclass. So that is called as a method overriding. So we have defined here superclass as a SSIP, which includes a method called as a show with return type as a void with no parameters. And here we have displayed a message as inside superclass. Then we have defined a subclass called as a SCSIP, extends a SSIP, that again a show method, and here we have displayed it as an inside subclass. Now in the main method, as I already told, you should always create the object of a subclass. So created the object of a subclass as S2 equal to new SCSIP S2.show. Now here which version of the show will be called, whether it's a superclass show or whether it's a subclass show. Now if you see, with respect to which object you have called, with respect to derived class object you have called, so always it is going to call the derived class version of a show method, and always will be getting the output as inside subclass. So just check it over here, compile the program. Sorry, not save. I'll just save it, run it. See, inside subclass, always you will be able to see the version of the subclass to be called. So now if you want to call the superclass version of the show, then you need to make use of a super keyword like this. So in the subclass, what you need to do, you have to make use of a super dot show method. So don't just call the show, otherwise what happens, it is a recursive call to the same function and it will go into the infinite loop, for which you will not be able to get any output. So when you call it as a super dot show, what happens? It is going to call the superclass version of a show method, and based on that you will be able to see the output of both the show methods. Save it. say inside superclass, inside subclass. So this is what the working of a polymorphism. So the further part of this we'll see in the next video.